Welcome to Influential Voices. Influential Voices is organized by CS's website www.china-led.net and China Solid Lighting Magazine and LED Business Magazine. We hope to invite our experts, entrepreneurs, and government officials to contribute their insights to our audience. Today, we are very lucky to have invited Carlos Lee, the General Secretary of EPIC.
Thank you very much for the invitation. I mean, the honor is mine to be able to come here and talk on behalf of the European photonics industry.
Yeah. Could you introduce us what EPIC does and why EPIC is so famous?
Well, EPIC is famous because it is the only industry association in the world of photonics to be fully led by members. We do not get subsidies from the government. We do not organize big exhibitions. We receive our money from the members. We have about 80 members from the entire supply chain of the photonics industry at large. So I think that the reason for our success is that we are not only a LED association, but we are also photovoltaic, optical networks, optical telecommunications, so the whole supply chain.
Wow. And could you tell us what EPIC is doing now and what's your job?
Okay, so EPIC is the usual industry association. We have our members, we have a board of directors, and I am the secretary to them. And the activities that we do is on developing market statistics that we share with our members. We also organize lobbying or advocacy activities, so we go regularly to the European Commission. We organize events for our members to work together on specific topics. So just for instance, last week we organized something on biophotonics. This week we're in China talking about LED. So let's say that all the time we're representing the interest of our members.
Well, I got the information from your report that the ROI for your members is 10.5 times. That's an impressive number. How could you do that?
Oh, well, what we mean by that, our membership fees are relatively low. They are scaled to allow every company to participate. You know, it goes from 500 to 6,000 euros. And the return that they get from that is enormous because we engage our companies in EU-funded projects. When you are part of an EU-funded project, you may get 100, 200, 300, 500,000 euros in return for that project. In addition, all of our market reports, which have a commercial value between 2,000 and 4,000 euros, our members get it for free.
Wow. Do you have any plans to help Chinese manufacturers to have their market in Europe?
Well, EPIC is a European association, so our companies are not necessarily a European origin. We have, for instance, Konica Minolta or we have Sharp, but they must have some contribution to the European ecosystem. So the companies must either produce in Europe, manufacture in Europe, hire people in Europe, or have research in Europe. We do not have really in our membership companies who only sell to Europe, because then the question would be, well, what is the contribution to the European society?
Oh, I see. But how about the companies who just want to sell their products? Do you have any suggestions to them? You know, setting up a factory is not the easiest thing to do, maybe later.
Oh, well, it depends if they have in their plans. We have indeed some organizations, some companies which do not yet have operations in Europe, but we do know that it is their intention. What we do not want, we cannot help companies who only will sell to the end consumer, because we are very much a business-to-business organization. But we can always talk. Please do refer them to our organization.
Okay. Could you tell us the characteristics of the European market in LED business?
Well, what is very nice in Europe is that we have a lot of research, innovation and manufacturers. We still have the entire ecosystem present, and this is reflected in our membership. You will have companies like Eichstron who make the MOCVD equipment. You will have companies who do the encapsulation, who have the materials, who do the packaging. So we'll still have a lot of that. Maybe most of the manufacturing or mass manufacturing may be taking place in some other parts of the regions around the world, but a lot of the development is in Europe because we benefit of having that entire ecosystem still in Europe.
Yeah. And the European government is also devoting itself in developing LED business, right? And manufacturing, yeah. But, you know, America, Japan, and China, yeah, many other countries are developing even faster. So, what exact plans have the European government got in improving market share? Or, yeah.
Generally speaking, I think it's important to see that the governments do not support specific technologies. They are looking at problems, and one of the clear problems in Europe or around the world is energy. So they will support, I would say, in general, anything which is energy efficiency. So EPIC works with the European Commission on photovoltaic because it's clean energy, on LED because it's energy efficient lighting. And they help a lot originally on the research and innovation side. For many, many years, I mean, the European Union has been funding research, but we do realize that we need to go further than that. We need to have jobs in Europe, we need to have higher taxes in Europe, we need companies who are able to develop products and manufacture them also in Europe. So we realize that having patents does not necessarily translate into production in the region. We do realize that having research does also not necessarily translate into products that we'll be able to sell. So Europe is looking now also more, in addition to support the companies into the research and innovation, how can we get them to commercialize products and help them to build that entire ecosystem, and also in Europe and in other parts of the world, how can we create jobs in Europe?
Jobs are very important. And you mentioned in your report yesterday, LED lighting, in general lighting, will drive the third cycle of growth. And that's very interesting. And we wonder about the cost drop. How exactly do you think the cost can drop in each of the coming 3 years?
So indeed, LED started, although we mentioned that it was invented 50 years ago, well, a lot of things were invented 50 years ago, but how much did that actually then have a benefit to society? Same example would be photovoltaic, a technology which exists for many years, but I would say maybe in the last decade, has it really been into the fields and created energy? As long as it stays into the laboratory, well, you know, normal people like you and me at home, we don't benefit from that. So it started, the LED started with the mobile phones, the backlighting of the keyboards with the little displays. Yeah. Then you had the bigger displays, and now we're entering into the lighting because it's becoming cost comparable. I think that compared to other applications, maybe if you would take an iPad is not necessarily replacing something, it's something new. So people do not necessarily have a comparison point. In the case of lighting, people have a solution. They already have light. You know, we're not at the candle times anymore. They have light, and now you're coming with another light product, and so they will be comparing the prices. And what am I getting what am I having more value out of it? So therefore, our prediction is that we really need it to be able to have a high market penetration. We probably have to reduce the cost of the LED lights by a factor of 10 in the next decade.
Yeah. And in which fields do you think there's more room for the cost drop?
Well, we have clearly documented the cost splitting of an LED. Maybe half will go into the front end. In the front end, we know that the MOCVD process plays a big role. But all along the value chain, everyone has to make an effort. But there is what reassures me is that all the presentations that I had heard this week at the China SSL 2012, they all talked about the cost. So we are industry is very much aware on the importance of reducing the cost. We have the roadmap from the Department of Energy, from associations like EPIC and other market statistics. There is a clear joint understanding of the need to reduce the cost. So if everybody is aligned to that, if there is a roadmap to get there, I'm convinced industry will get there.
Interesting. And how do you think LED lighting would develop in the field of general lighting?
What I think very interesting in the developments is that you invent a technology. Let's give an analogy of something else. For instance, the phones, there is a sensor. And the sensor, I don't know what it was originally developed for, but I was quite amazed how the creativeness of how the sensors in the phones are used. My children use with my phone, and they play games just by moving the phone like this. So you have a technology like we have LED. What are we going to do with it? There is a sensor, so I can use it at home to see if when I put my picture on the wall, if the frame is straight, it will know is it straight or not. So because it can also measure distance, it will be able to calculate the speed of a car which is passing by. Yeah. So we have a technology, but that is just the starting point. The question is, how creative will we be in developing applications for that? And if LED is only going to be a light replacement, I would be very disappointed by us.
people do say so. Yeah, that there is truly quite a lot to expect from LED lighting.
I think it is amazing. And in technologies like ours where things go so fast, my background is in semiconductors. I have 15 years worked in the microelectronics sector. And when you look at the developments that we have made, if you imagine what will it be in the next 10 years with lighting. It was interesting to see that, lights will last for 40 years. So who cares? We're not going to have the same light in our roof there for 40 years. We will change it every 10 years. Do we keep our phones? Even if the phone keeps working for 10 years, will we keep it? No, we will change it because there will be new features. There will be added value to that. And that's exactly where the lighting industry will go. It will be developing added value. Where it will go, I don't know. But you can already see last week Philips Hue introduced, and now I can control the lighting with my smartphone, and I can have any color I want from my lighting. So we already are starting that direction of having not only lighting but smart lighting.
Wow, Philips Hue is really impressive, and that's not the best one, I believe, because the market is developing very fast, and we can see more and more new things, more and more creative things. And since LED lighting, general lighting, is going into its growth, rapid growth,
rapid growth, yes.
Rapid growth, yeah. And do you see any members of yours are doing the transition from LED, like backlight or some other business, translating into LED general lighting? And how are they doing this?
I think the biggest challenge for the companies is to understand that things are changing, that LED is not just light. I think that is the biggest change that people have to come to, that it has to become smart lighting, that you need to integrate IT, you have to integrate semiconductors, you have to integrate sensors into the light. So the business model is kind of reinventing itself. It's like the cameras, in the cameras, in the past, it used to be optics. You had companies that did that. Well, now today a camera, photo camera, is an electronic device. It has changed, and it has changed quite fast. Some companies have adapted, and some new brands have appeared. So now if you want to buy a camera, you will have new brands. You will buy Samsung. So in the past, Samsung was electronics. Well, now if you want a camera, you don't necessarily buy a brand which was originally related to that, but you will buy a Samsung because it's not anymore about not only optics, it's about electronics. Yeah. So my concern or my recommendation to the companies, and this is, we really communicate this very clearly for our members, this is not why only we have market reports, but also we organize workshops and have guidance to them, is to make sure that internally you have the openness the openness and the creativity and the partnerships, and through our association we develop a lot of partnerships among our members to integrate also the electronics part into the lighting industry. Yes, I think the biggest concern is that companies may remain very traditional, so not new companies, because new companies who enter the market, they know where things are going. My concern would be more with very traditional companies who have been doing something for 10 years, and in the past, maybe 100 years ago, it was like this. If you had been successful for 20 years doing something, well, then you would just continue. They say don't change something which is working. Now, this does not work anymore. You may have been successful the last 20 years. It has no guarantee for the next year.
So the transition speed?
Transition speed is sometimes very fast, and maybe also in end consumer market, I am sometimes shocked how cruel the industry can be. You may be number one today, and for instance in the game industry it happens, and then maybe you come too late for Christmas with your new product, and it's done. You could be 1 week late with your product and you have really missed that opportunity, and then you can disappear very fast. So today in these high speed markets you can never just relax and say I'm taking a little holiday.
Yeah, that's true, and it's also cruel. And my next question is, some enterprises are paying more and more attention to LED lighting system. Do you think there's much room for improvement in lighting system, and what may be the improvement directions?
Improvements will happen all along the supply chain. The reason I think you have to look also going is the vertical integration. One of the questions, we know the market is growing. Well, first I differentiate always growth. Are you talking growth in terms of units or in terms of value? You know, in electronics, the value maybe have been the same, but you sold 4 times more, but the price was 4 times less. So I always have to differentiate between terms of volume of the market, which is market penetration, and also the overall the cost. But the big question is for companies is who is making money? I mean, does it really help you that the market may be growing 20 times, 50 times, if you yourself in your sector are just being squeezed and not making any money there? So it is important to analyze where will the money be made. Is it important to have a vertical integration? Where are the opportunities? And here also the markets have changed. I remember when I was young, it's again an analogy of something totally different, but just to give an example of how business models change. To watch television, you had a television, and then you had to buy a box, and then you got all the channels for free, and this is how you could watch TV. Yeah. Today, you get the box for free, and you have to pay for the channels. The same with the phone. The phones in many programs, business models in Europe, you can almost get the phone for free because they make money with the conversations. Yeah. So how will we be making money and where in the lighting industry? Will it just be the traditional thing that you buy a light bulb, then he makes some money, you put it in the electricity company makes money, or is somebody else going to be making money? If you connect this to the internet, if they know geolocalization, if you adapt it to the moods or this or that, I really don't know where it will be going, but it could be very different from in 10 years from what it is today.
Wow, so interesting. So people always say about business models, as to LED lighting, too many new business models need to explore.
It is correct in that you don't know where we're going. Yeah. It will be very easy to say in 10 years, I knew it. I always said we had to do this. It's always in retrospect, it's very easy to say things. But indeed, now we're at a stage where people have to explore, be very open, keep and be alert and explore the various business models, because I don't know where it will go, but I don't think it will stay the same.
But at the present stage, what direction do you think they should go, and where can they get the better alternative, do you think?
I think it will be very interesting to look at other fields, telecommunication, automotive, look at some other sectors than just your own. This is why I always welcome companies that hire people with a different background. So not only LED, of course LED is closely related to semiconductors, but look a little bit outside of the box. Yeah. And at EPIC, in our membership, because we're not LED lighting, we are Photonics, you will have optical telecom companies, you will have the guys who make servers, rack servers, you will have companies that do make lenses for the glasses, but lenses also to go into lithography tools. And these various companies, they are different, somehow still related to technology, but it's interesting to talk to see with other people who maybe have a different perspective on the problem, how they view it.
And Chinese manufacturers are always lying to enter European market. And in what way is EPIC willing to help them? Well, and do you have any ideas on how they can go into and enlarge their business there? Since in Europe, people have a higher and a much higher demand on the quality, and maybe some other things we don't even care about very into the details.
So EPIC is an industry association. We're not a consultancy firm. You know, if you go to a consultant and you ask me, please help me find customers, they will do these kind of things because they will do it for one specific company. Yeah. As an industry association, we do things that will benefit all of our members, and this would, for instance, be market expansion. Now, how does an industry such as EPIC help into market expansion? A lot of this has to do with education, information, visit the governments, participate to their white papers, participate to their consultations, talk to them, give them ideas on possible implementations that will help expand the market. So the best that the companies can do is to support the association to make recommendations with good facts, good analysis to the public authorities in Europe or around the world on how to support this market development. So one side is the business, you can use consultants for that. The other one is overall market expansion. And there I clearly think that associations, industry-focused associations, can play a role with the support of their members.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I think they can really get a lot of help from your advice. And but this year, 2012, they run into a lot of difficulties. Yeah, as you see, because the economy, the global economy is not good, and more than half of the business are losing money. And how would you conclude this year?
When there is a global crisis, everybody suffers. But it is even worse when your company is only having one product or relying on one sector. This is why we strongly encourage, by sharing reports of other photonic-related sectors, we encourage our companies to look into other related fields so that they are not dependent on one specific item. So, for instance, if you're making optics, we will encourage you not only to be working for that optics sector, but maybe also looking at biophotonics. You could have this optics included in optical telecommunication. If your product is able to find its way into a variety of sectors, you will be less victim or less vulnerable to market crises in specific sectors. So sometimes you do have a crisis. Yes, for 1 or 2 years you may not be selling much. But if that is your only source of revenue, you're in trouble. So hopefully, through reading our reports, you will understand, you will identify other business opportunities so that you're not putting all the eggs in the same basket.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a great help, I think, to our audience and also to me. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the opportunity to be here. It was my pleasure. Thank you.